Good morning, dieharders. Who's ready to live food? This is the Shogun, and with me today is my good friend Syxx. We are reconvening here to talk about the DCEU being revamped after the Flash movie, the slap around the world, or mostly seen around the world at the Oscars on TV. Will Smith and the relationship between him and Jada, all the shit leading up to it, all the shit that came after, just the general bullshit of it all. Right here, right now, on the S&W EXPerience Podcast. And here we go. Yeah, that's quite a transition right there. Speaking of open communication and relationships, let us talk about the very open relationship of Will and Jada Pinkett Smith. Before we get to the slap, we gotta talk about the background. Like just Will and Jada, the August shit. Just I remember last time we talked, you said that you'd kind of lost respect for Will Smith after that shit. Just not just
Yep.
the August thing in general, but like in general, like as time has gone on, you said like Jada ruined him. This is before the slap, mind you. Before the slap, you were like, nah, I don't respect dude anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen this, but have you ever seen the video that was like recently, leaked? It's from an older Facebook video where like Jada's talking to Will, and they talk about their marriage, and then he's like, I'd appreciate it if you don't just randomly film me in my own house. Have you seen that video?
Nah, but I'm not surprised.
It's so emasculating. I'll try to find it on Facebook or YouTube. I'll send it to you. But it's just one of the examples of how Jada has just stripped this man of his identity as dude, there was a point where Will Smith was Mr. Hollywood. There was a point where he was surpassing Brad Pitt, George Clooney in box office. There was a point where he was Mr. Entertainment. He was the biggest. He was the biggest box office grossing actor. There was a point where he was a king. To the point where he is now, it's so sad.
So far removed from himself.
And even the fact that days after the slap, now you get articles on Daily Mail and New York Times and all these things that are saying Jada never wanted to marry Will Smith. Reveals she cried at a horrible wedding. Just articles that add salt to the wound. They're just so revolting. Now, one thing I'll say, for me, I commend the step, right? Thing is, it's too little too late. Because Will Smith is this man who has been emasculated for the past 3.5 years. And essentially what you have now is Will trying to reclaim his masculinity by stripping Chris Rock of his. And in that process, he lost more of it than what he thought he would gain by doing it. Which is unfortunate. So he was misguided in his actions. He thought it would help him and didn't, banned for 10 years. Because again, it's one thing to sit there and let your wife be joked about. Like, for example, I won't let anyone make a joke about my wife. Say she just gave birth and she gained a couple pounds. You won't make a fat joke about her,
Yeah.
You won't make a marks, you won't make a joke about this. A-to-Z, you will not make a joke about that, right? And then also there's an element of there's a certain time and place for things.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I'll say, if I was in that position, say I'm not Will Smith, I'm just a random actor number 3, right? Prominent actor, same girlfriend, who's now my wife, and Chris Rock makes a joke about her, right? A joke in bad taste, as is most jokes now in Hollywood. I would walk up to him, talk to him behind the mic, and tell him not to say that thing ever again, and I'd walk back down, right? That's me. I'm not gonna sit there and let shit fly. But at the same time, I'm not going to resort to, violence or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now, with having said that, I don't mind the violence. But that's not me. A person who would probably resort to violence is a person like, let's say, I don't know, Tabiso, Umba, or any.
I mean, he had a good sense of humor, man.
Yeah, he does. But damn, dog, like, just there's certain things you can joke about.
Yeah.
When you include someone's person, that kind of gets a bit iffy.
Oh, because when it's like dudes insulting each other, it's cool. Because it's not like, hey, man, it's just me and you in here. Once you start bringing in girlfriends and shit, now it's like, hey.
Yeah. Now it's like, wife, family, all these things. So yeah, obviously, some of the people who we went to school with would obviously resort to violence, and I don't mind that. I won't condone it. Every action, reaction, right? Cool. Personally, I wouldn't punch because that's just not who I am. And also, if I punch, what if he punches back?
Exactly.
I don't want it.
Now it's a bigger fuck up.
Yeah. Exactly. I get my tucks messed up. I get tackled, or I tackle him.
Even if you win, it's not a good thing. You're gonna lose at the end of the day.
Now you're the bully, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind this stuff. Different people, yeah. As I said, different people react differently, and I respect that. Personally, I wouldn't, but I don't condone this stuff. Perfectly, perfectly valid.
There are those who say that Will shouldn't have gone up on stage at all. He should have found Chris after Chris had come off the stage. He should have found him backstage and talked to him then. And if he wanted to slap him, then slap him there, as opposed to slapping him on live TV.
Yeah, I get that. I think there's also an element of people expect gentlemanliness, or they expect this poise and grandeur from these. I guess at this point you can call them just individuals of myth. Like we've crafted these monoliths, like these gods, these people are so above us, and part of that has informed what we think is acceptable and unacceptable for them to do. And I feel like that's the wrong way to look at it, because again, they're human, they jack off and they bleed red and whatever it is. I feel like the moment we sort of put them on the pedestal of just fully just labeling them as wholly different and unlike any of us, we start to expect certain behaviors from them, which is being respectable and being civilized. And it's like, well, yeah, sure, there are these A-list actors going to one of the most, prestigious award ceremonies in the world, but they're still human. And the way they react is not that different to us, so to speak. But yeah, I do understand that. I hear it, But yeah, like I said, if you can beat someone up in class, in a classroom setting, if you can grab someone by the neck and sort of slam on the wall, and it's like anything should be game, because again, school is an environment that should be civilized. It's an environment for education. But yes, school fights happen all the time,
Yeah.
Just because it's an award show, it's no different. Yeah, it's an award show, the most prestigious award. Yeah, okay, cool, but it's just a venue. There's not really much to say about it. Because again, fights do happen in Parliament, and not just in our country. Fights happen in the UK Parliament, Fights happen in the Indian government, in the Pakistani government, the Chinese government, the Australian government, New Zealand government. Fights happen in places that are civilized, and we don't really so much condemn them as much as we did this. Because again, these are just the Oscars, it isn't the fucking UN, it's the Oscars, dog. They're presenting acting awards, they are presenting awards for people pretending. What is so prestigious and civilized about the ceremony? what paints it so differently from a parliamentary service? Nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's, in fact, I would argue that a parliamentary service is more.
You expect more
civilized.
civilization there, because you're there
And there
not
is-
on behalf of yourself, but on behalf of your country. You're supposed to,
Yeah.
yeah.
And there's the disparaging lack thereof in parliamentary addresses, even in America, even in Congress.
Especially in
You know?
America. Shit.
So, like, okay, sure, it's the Oscars. So, okay, what does that mean? What's so great about the Oscars that you can't slap someone there? Like, it's people, I feel like, need to get off their high horse. And again, they need to realize that these are just fucking award shows. Like, it's not that deep
Yeah.
to be like, oh, he snapped him at the Oscars. Please get over yourself, you know?
Yeah.
That's one thing I don't like. Another thing is that I feel like the punishment,
You felt it was a bit excessive?
yeah, I mean, compared to this, 2003, Roman Polanski received a standing ovation for his achievement in film. He won a Lifetime Achievement Award, and he got a standing ovation.
Isn't he guilty of murder?
Nope, not murder, rape of a 12-year-old child in 1973. Admitted to those accusations and
Moved
findings.
out of the country.
And before he could be sent to trial and arrested and sentenced, he fled to France, where they have no extradition policy. So he has been living in France since 1973, fully never having returned to US soil, because if he does, he'll get arrested. He is a convicted pedophile. He is a sex offender of note. Yet in 2003, the Academy awarded him with a Lifetime Achievement Award, and he received a standing ovation by everyone in the audience. Same goes for, you know, a little chap known as what's his name? Not Polanski. The other nonce
What are you talking about?
with glasses and has a weird squeaky voice.
They all. Oh, Woody Allen, the old white guy he's like scrawny old white dude. He was the ant in Ants, that one ant movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Woody groomed his daughter, stepdaughter, of course. He is a pedophile. He groomed his daughter. He has various accusations to his name, and he still gets to keep all of his Grammys. He's not banned from any Oscars ceremony. The list can go on. So many individuals in the late 20th century, early 21st century, received acclaim from the Academy, banning notwithstanding, and they have committed crimes far worse than Will Smith, which is a minor battery at best. A minor battery. Minor battery. And he's banned for 10 years.
Yeah, there were, apparently there was some who were saying that, after all this, Will Smith should be stripped of the award. It's like, fucking calm down, dude.
Motherfucking Martian Manhunter. Bitch.
Exactly, dude.
Unsuccessful Hollywood actor, jealous as fuck, made an article on the New York Times. He published a piece himself, an extensive fucking article detailing why Will Smith, another black man, should have his Oscar stripped from him just because he stabbed Chris Rock. What a coon. What a coon of note.
Dude.
I read the entire thing. It just, and again, Twitter's constant thing is, okay, Mr. Martian Manhunter, who no one really knows, because, hey, you're old now, your career didn't pop off as well as Will Smith did, or Denzel's did, or anyone else's did. What about these white actors? Why don't you ask them to return their Oscars? Why? These white directors and Kevin Spacey ain't banned from the Oscars.
Oh, yeah.
Weinstein ain't banned from the Oscars. Allen ain't banned from the Oscars. None of them are banned from the Oscars. And Will Smith, for a little baby slap, that didn't even make Chris Rock's face swell or even mark. Banned for a decade. Wow. And now you have fucking old Martian Manhunter here saying you should give back this Oscar. You ruined the sanctity of the award shows. Well, nigga, what sanctity? It's a fucking acting award. You're playing pretend.
Oscars haven't really been a big, like, for me, the Oscars haven't been what they used to be, man. Like, when you hear like, oh, the Oscars are on, it was like, you know, the pinnacle of filmmaking, and like the best of the best got nominated for this shit. It hasn't been that for a while for me, man. It's like,
Exactly.
because every year there will be like categories where you look at it and go, wait, they nominated them, but they didn't nominate this, which is actually better than this movie here. Like this.
I'm so mad. And you know, there's this meme on the internet. It's called Heartbreaking. The worst person you know makes a good point. Have you ever seen the meme before?
Yeah.
For me, that moment was when Piers Morgan published a stellar piece on the New York Post.
That fucking
titled
guy.
"Spare Me Hollywood's Not-Dating Hypocrisy Over Will Smith." The same people gave Roman Polanski an Oscar after he raped a child. I read the entire article. I agree 100%.
With Piers freaking Morgan.
Piers Morgan. It's a beautiful piece. But he's right. He has literally called out every single instance of hypocrisy that I have named right now since our phone call began. And it's Piers Morgan. And I read it and I was like, heartbreaking. The worst person you know makes a good point.
Dude.
It's Jesus fucking Christ.
The world
It's so... What? And again, you and I both know why this is happening to this extent to Will Smith. We both know why.
The sadness.
To the point where
man.
we don't even have to say it. We both know why Will Smith is dealing with this in such excess. We know why.
Yeah. If this has been anyone else, like, okay, I don't want to say literally anybody, but anybody, if this has been fucking, I don't know, man, like,
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, if this had been Brad Pitt and someone cracked a joke about, like, him and Angelina getting divorced, he went up there and smacked the dude.
Or them cheating on Aniston or whatever.
Yeah. We would barely be talking about this, man. It wouldn't be everywhere.
There would have been 2 articles, a couple of laughs on E! News.
Yeah.
And that would have... Because he's a white man.
We would have been fucking laughing about it. It's like, haha, dude got slapped by Brad Pitt. Haha, sit back down and that's it.
They would viewed him on E! Entertainment, asked him to comment, and laughed along with him. Yet Will Smith is his villain. You're saying he's an abuser. He beat him up. He punched him.
Come
He
on.
insulted him. My lord.
Dude, I at first when I saw the video, dude, like, I didn't even watch the fucking Oscars. I was like scrolling through Twitter, and then I was like Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. I was like, wait, what? I like saw the feed. I thought it was a bit. At first, I thought it was like, oh, because like Chris was still laughing. He was like, oh, wow, and he sat down. It wasn't until Smith yelled out, "Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth." Then I was like, oh, whoa, this is real.
Yeah.
Shit.
And the snap was so... It wasn't even that weak. Like, I mean, it wasn't even that powerful.
Yeah.
Like, Chris recovered immediately from it. He didn't stumble. He didn't fall over.
Didn't even hold his face or nothing. Just straight up
Yeah,
nose hold
he
it.
took it. He took it and it was over. And then I see an article from his website 2 days ago, from this guy named Brian Adams. Will Smith beats up a guy and then gets an Oscar. Please, get over yourself. Give me a fucking break. Beats up a guy, he slapped him. Jesus fucking Christ. Beats up a... Oh my God. They've blown the entire thing wildly out of proportion.
Yeah.
It's just so hilarious. And again, yes, it's Will Smith. It's Will Smith, and this makes matters much worse because, again, people are saying, "Oh, why don't you do this to August Alsina, Will? You know, he was fucking your wife. Why did you slap him?" Okay, shut the fuck up. Doesn't matter. He slapped him. That's that. It happened. He didn't slap August. Why? Because they have a relationship. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So, what must be done? what must be done.
Well,
Comedians are swearing him. Yeah, well, comedy. You don't fucking touch a comedian.
you remember
Bro.
you noticed like the instant like backlash of like now all comedians have to be worried about like when they do a stand-up show some guy's gonna run up and be the next book. No, man. Just
Bro.
oh,
Like,
geez.
people are, and it's so crazy to me because it's the funny comedians who don't really care, you know? Like,
Yeah.
like your Bill Burrs, your Chappelle's, they're quiet. It's your fucking YouTube comedians with podcasts that are going in on Will. Oh, you know, man, Will's a fucking cuck. First of all, you know, did a cheat on him. Shut the fuck up, man. Shut the fuck up. Oh, he's ruining comedy. Oh, no. My God, comedians who never gave a fuck about Chris Rock rally behind him. Like, what's going on? There's an agenda, dog. There's an agenda, and it's so crazy to see.
I remember there was this thing on Twitter. Dude, after this, I just remember I saw something about a guy said like, hey, if it was The Rock up there on that stage, you know, Will wouldn't have done shit. He was sat in his fucking chair. But
it wasn't.
Exactly.
You know? Like, I hate these whataboutisms. Oh, but if it was, but if it was Matt Damon, but if it was Mark Wahlberg, shut the fuck up. It wasn't him. So what? Doesn't matter. He slapped him.
Yeah.
So what?
Thing is with this shit, the slap doesn't really bother me. It's like, okay, dude went up, slapped the guy, sat back down. The fact that he yelled at him, like, you know, keep my wife's name on your fucking mouth. It's like, whoa, dude, you made your point.
For me, that was the element of, you know, when you're so upset, you feel like crying.
Yeah.
That was, I think, for him, compared to the slap, that was his most childish moment, I would say. To just yell across the hall. And again, you know, he's pretty close to the actual stage.
Yeah.
But, like, that was extremely childish. Like, the whole thing of, like, wow, dude, yes. You know, it was a GIA joke. Geek Mao, you know? That was, like,
dude,
him reaching into his depths of being childish. Like, you can slap a guy and then shut up. Keep quiet.
Yeah.
You know?
And then the action speaks for itself. It's like, hey, be quiet now. Like, yeah, but just
keep
like...
moving. I feel like the slap wasn't that... Because, again, dude, the slap was weak.
Yeah.
It wasn't a strong slap. It happened quick. People thought it was banter, right? As he walked back, he was smiling.
Dude,
People
exactly. There were so many people who were like, yeah, at first I thought it was a bit. And I was like, me too.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. You know, because obviously when he walked out, he was like, oh, King Richard here. You know, slapped him. That was that. I thought, okay, it's a skit. But what made everyone feel awkward about it and shut up was the yelling. And, you know, just the yelling and the profanity. That's what made everyone uncomfortable. Because, again, everyone was laughing, you know.
When the slap happened, yeah, because, yeah.
Even when he sat down, they were like, holy shit. Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me, and everyone's laughing. And I remember Lupita was, like, smiling and laughing.
Yeah, she was right behind him, man.
Yeah. When he was like, wow, dude, yes. It was a keep my what? And then everyone's like, ooh. And I remember because after he said the first iteration of keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth, everyone was like, whoa. You know when like the crowd just goes like,
yeah.
Like,
and then in the second one, they were quiet. Holy shit.
That was the loudest. Like, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. You know, that's when you really yelled. And everyone's like, oof, you better shut up. You know? It was really over that, you know.
Yeah.
Everyone shut up. Peter stopped smiling. She was like, "Ooh, child, that's so awkward."
Yeah, dude. Like.
But yeah. The shouting was much more cringe-inducing, awkward-creating than the slap. Definitely. Not without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. The yelling is what did it. That would seal the deal.
The yelling is absolutely what did it, man. Just.
If Will sat down and then gave a little wink and like a little finger snap, like, you know, that would have been, you know, haha, banter to skit. But then behind curtains and after the break, he's like, yeah, man, keep your fucking name, you know, keep my last name in your fucking mouth. But yeah, the shouting killed it. If he just, gave a little wink and a little finger snap, yeah, it would have been like, okay, cool, that was a bit. They know it's not a bit, but he played it off, so it's not awkward. It's not as awkward. The yelling made it awkward. It just created an entire violent atmosphere.
Yeah.
He ruined himself.
Yeah, it was that just I keep
the yelling.
when I was scrolling through Twitter, like I came across like things like Ricky Gervais making they were like, oh, Ricky Gervais made worse jokes back at the those other awards, the Emmys, and people didn't do shit.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting there thinking like, yo, if Ricky Gervais was up there, it would not have gone down so smoothly, man. Like, just dude would have roasted him, man. If Will had gone up, slapped Ricky Gervais and sat back down, he would not hear the end of it, man. Like, dude, the fact that Chris Rock was able to restrain himself and continue on with the night, that shows like that level of professionalism. I'm not saying Gervais isn't a professional, but he would not let that shit slide, man. Like, just shit, dude. But honestly, man, shit. Even the dude himself commented on it. He said, if I was up there, I wouldn't have made a joke about her hair loss. I would have made a joke about her boyfriend. Shit. But there's this minority of people that are like, Will shouldn't have stood up at all. If anybody should have stood up, it should have been Jada who went up and talked to Chris Rock. Like Will standing up like robs Jada of agency in her own life or some shit. Like he shouldn't be protecting her from anything or what the fuck ever. Like, yeah.
You see, that would have been a very extensive talking point with the right, because they'd be like, oh, here we go. Snowflake Jada getting butthurt at Chris's comments about her hair. That would have been much worse, in my opinion. It just in terms of the misogyny, that would have been like bred from that. Yeah. The level of misogyny, oh my god, it would have been palpable. It would have been it would have tipped the scales even more on what a woman is allowed to say or defend herself, like in what way. That would have been very hectic.
But if she had gone up there, instead of just sitting there watching the whole ordeal, if she'd gone up there, this whole thing would be phrased it would be in a very different light now. It's like, you offended me, and I personally stood up to go do something about it. Like...
And then again, you'd also have these chats of, why didn't Will defend her?
Exactly! Dude, even if she had gone up there would be these people like, hey man, why didn't you go up there? Like, shit.
Why did Will go there? Will hates his wife. And then, see, dude, at the end of the day, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Even if Will had sat there, let's just say whatever reason, Will decided to sit there and continue on with the evening. That's terrible. That's going to reflect badly because, number one, there will be those people that are like, hey man, why didn't you do something? And even Jada, you saw in that moment, she was looking at him like, I ain't finding this funny.
I'm just like, protect black women, Like, it's crazy how a man with so much power and influence such as Will Smith wouldn't defend his wife against these, very callous and like crass. It would have been a talking point, and it would have been a dialogue of men not caring about their woman and not caring about defending their honor and protecting them against these harsh intricacies of the masculinity and the patriarchy permeated within society. And it would have been a discourse, dog. It would have been on fucking Alex Jones. It would have been on Ben Shapiro. It would have been everywhere. Will Smith hates his wife. Oh, I know. She did on him. That's why he hates her. It would have been damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Allow me to remind people, like, before I get into this, there is this statement that the slap derailed the rest of the show. The show couldn't continue on as it previously did after this event. Like, they tried, but that slap derailed the rest of the show.
Yeah. I feel like, and again, because it was so early into the night, because it was during Chris's monologue, it was during the monologue. So it really did stifle all of the momentum.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
lest we forget, y'all, Billie Eilish has a fucking Academy Award for No Time to Die, and barely anyone's mentioning that. All anyone can talk about is this fucking slap. Fucking so much shit happened this year, dude. The fucking cast of Pulp Fiction came back to give Sam Jackson a Lifetime Achievement Award. Barely anyone's talking about that. All we care about is this fucking slap and the relationship of Jada and Will and what the fuck ever. Just, dude, so much shit happened, and it's like, oh well, it's not really that important. Dude slapped somebody, man. It's just,
Yeah.
I feel bad for the other award.
Because again, in June, he was like an underdog type of thing. Like, he wasn't like... You think of an action movie. An action movie has their... it has like their big guy. It has their Hemsworth, their Elba, their Diesel, their Johnson, their B. Jordan. And in the 90s was their Schwarzenegger, their Stallone, their Willis, and whatnot. Timothy, he's not there yet. He's not that main guy yet. He's like the secondary guy. Like
the son of the main guy.
Yeah, sort of thing. Okay, maybe not that low. Maybe not that low. He's maybe like a. Maybe he's like a Shia LaBeouf.
What, like Transformers, Shia LaBeouf?
No, maybe not Transformers. Maybe Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones in the Kingdom, what? Crystal Skull.
Oh, so son of the main guy. Okay.
Yeah, son, relative,
Like, he's not the main action hero, but he does some action stuff in the film.
Yeah. It's, at the same time, though, it's funny because Tom Holland can technically be classified the same, but I still put Tom Holland above, just because he has some more action chops about him, and the fact that he's more physically there. He's more physically present, and just the physicality of him and the things he does. Like him in Uncharted, obviously I didn't see the whole thing. Don't ask me why. But the little that I did see, he's really flexing the fact that he does his own stunts, and I respect that in that individual. He's like a young Tom Cruise in a sense. I genuinely respect that.
I was kind of disappointed in Uncharted, in all honesty, man. Like, don't get me wrong, Tom Holland does an exceptional job, but dude, the Uncharted games, there's a lot of running and gunning, and the dude, the main guy, he kills a lot of fools on the way because dudes are trying to kill him on the way to get the treasure. In this movie,
Exactly.
He doesn't kill a single guy. He doesn't even pick up a gun until the third act. And even then, he doesn't shoot anybody. He misses every shot. And anybody who does die because of them does so purely by accident. There's making the hero not a killer. And then there's just oh, you're not going to kill anybody. Despite the fact that in the source material, you clearly do. Just...
Yeah. No, I get that. It's a fair critique. Because again, you do expect some accuracy on at least that front,
Yeah.
Like, if you want to have the actual physical, I guess, accuracy, at least have that part. But yeah, no, I get it. Fair assessment.
Hey, what did, Hey, but you on the same of, Mark Wahlberg, you have this thing where, people aren't really feeling Mark Wahlberg because, apparently he did some shit in the past, and it's I don't know, all of a sudden he's rubbing people the wrong way now.
You see, it's crazy because Mark still gets work, and he commit hate crimes. And another thing that's crazy, he committed hate crimes, and he still gets work, and the industry still, accepts him. Will Staff's the dude is getting blackballed in front of center. Apple and Universal both ditched a big deal in which was supposed to pick up his biopic. And Apple and Universal both dropped that bid. So no one is now bidding for that documentary anymore on his life, or rather a biopic. But it's crazy.
Yeah, because
He got black.
I remember he released a book recently. I think they were like adapting that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's rough, man.
So obviously, I think definitely during the cancel era when it first picked up, whole cancel culture, and I won't say the Me Too generation, the era, because that's a very specific thing that has to do with sexual assault, and I very much respect that. But it's more to do with the cancel culture era, where people were now like unearthing things that everyone did in the past. Of course, even Trevor was susceptible because he made jokes about, Rihanna getting abused by Chris Brown. He made those kinds of jokes.
Yeah.
And again, that's not good. But obviously, when they reached Mark Wahlberg, they pulled up some court documents from the late 90s. And of course, if you really want to read them, you'll see that he did some real fucked up things.
Honestly, no longer put your head in the sand and say there is not some difference in treatments between like white actors and like black actors, and like the people of color in Hollywood aren't treated differently. You can't say that anymore. Because if Will Smith had his Oscar taken away, you have to take away Polanski's. You gotta take away Woody Allen's. If you don't, then it's like, oh man, we're openly admitting racism here.
And it's so unfortunate.
Yeah. But hey, did you hear that Warner Brothers, after this shit, decided to cancel the Deadshot movie that they were working on?
Dog, like I'm saying, he's getting blackballed, and I hate it.
Dude,
I mean, his
in
fault.
other news, Warner Brothers was making a Deadshot movie. Just that's
Yeah, they want to bring
a Deadshot movie.
I feel like what they're doing now are like these self-contained stories, right? Self-contained. The Suicide Squad, the Batman, the Flash, and Batgirl, and all these things. They want to branch up into their multiverse and explore these options that, of course, have to do with, okay, it's this character, but not the way you remember them.
Yeah.
That's the one to do now.
Like with the Suicide Squad and all of their characters, really. I mean, all the characters they brought back from the first movie was like, oh, this is the character from that movie, but he's not the same. Like,
Yeah.
It was, dude, in regards to the Suicide Squad, fucking Bloodshot is so fucking similar to Bloodsport, yes.
Yeah.
He's so fucking similar to Deadshot, he may as well have been played by Will Smith. I'm pretty sure the script initially called for him to be played by Will Smith, but they just said, fuck it, let's just have Idris Elba do the part and have him play someone else.
And also, Will didn't want to return because I think after the first one bombed. Because again, I feel like Will Smith he's had After Earth PTSD for a while now, since like, that really just crashed and burned for him. Because, that was like his baby. He had that passion to the point where he actually cast Jane alongside him. He thought it would be a banger, and of course it was a extreme on his part, miscalculation. But I feel like his movies now, he wants them to do well. Otherwise, he sees no value in them anymore.
Yeah.
It's definitely After Earth trauma.
After the, Gemini Man wasn't a failure, but it wasn't exactly a runaway success. It didn't justify its budget with the amount of money it made. Let me say that. It didn't justify its budget, and I think dude didn't want to risk making another blockbuster and see another failure. It's like... Yeah. But just, thing is After Earth a bad movie? From, like, your perspective, is After Earth a bad movie?
It's mid. It's not great, it's not bad. It's boring. And it's too long.
Yeah. Personally, thing is, the trailers sold it as this, like, father-son story. And when I went in there, I'm thinking, okay... Like, they crash land on Earth. Now Will and Jaden have to, like, trek through the woods and fight aliens and shit. Okay, this is gonna be dope. What we ended up getting, Will is injured, spends most of the movie just sitting on a plane talking to his son,
Yeah.
and Jaden is the fucking main
Jaden
character. Just
didn't work.
would you say it was too soon to make Jaden be like the main guy in a big blockbuster movie? Because he did do Karate Kid, and that was pretty solid. So
Yeah. Maybe, you see, and it's funny because Jaden also got that trauma after that movie didn't do well. Because Karate Kid was his initial foray. Well, technically, it's probably the Pursuit of Happiness, but that was like a little minor role. His proper foray, where he really dived into that capacity, was Karate Kid. And that did well. And he was riding, that wave of success. And then when he became a teenager, he thought, okay, let me do this. Let me do After Earth. Let me do my second movie. Have it be like my magnum opus for now.
yeah.
Right? Because, every actor, when they start out, have their magnum opus. Like with, with Christian Bale, it's American Psycho. With Jake Gyllenhaal, it's Donnie Darko. With Brad Pitt, it's Seven. Like every actor when they begin have like their very, very, very good movie that they were in. It's early in their career, and like it's such a nice, even fucking Brody with the Salvador movie. So I think he wanted to establish himself with a strong second movie, and it didn't work, and it scarred him to where he moved away from acting, went into music some more. And now I think he's starting out, because again he was on The Get Down on Netflix from like 2019 to like 2021 or something, and then it ended. But he's coming back. He's coming back. But for him, I think it definitely scarred him.
Yeah.
Especially because he was still so young, but he was getting bullied. They basically treated him the same way they treated young Anakin in the prequels.
Yeah.
Like that kid.
He was a kid, for fuck's sakes, man.
He got the worst of it, and that obviously made him descend into drugs as a teenager. And his life is fucked right now.
He never made another movie again after that shit.
Exactly. So they definitely pulled that on him.
But yeah, man, it's just when it comes to, I remember the last time we talked about Will, I asked this question, like, you think he'll ever return to the box office status that he once had? You said no. This was before all this shit happened, and like, even now I'm just like, nah, dude, Will never get back to that, this movie made $100 million because of Will Smith level, just.
You know what though? I'm surprised that he won the Oscar. Not because he slapped him, but yeah, I'm surprised that it took him so long to get an Oscar. And what I've found is most people get Oscars for biopics, and I don't like that, because I feel like a biopic, so it's easy. You know what I mean? Like it's so easy to mimic a person who is real, a person who is alive, a person who there's extensive documentation and proof, and just basically there's extensive media that shows you them in every capacity. Yeah. And from that, an actor is able to build upon it and just be them, act as them down to a T. It's so easy. And I just feel like biopics are such an easy way to get an Oscar.
A lot of biopics have been winning in the last 10 years. Freddie Mercury,
dude, Renee Zellweger got an Oscar for her portrayal of Judy Garland. Of course, you have my nigga Jamie Foxx with Ray. Of course, you have Meryl Streep with The Iron Lady. It's so easy to get an Oscar if you do a biopic. And of course, Target was nominated, right? He didn't win, unfortunately. But then, you know who did win? Malik. You know?
Yeah. The Queen,
So, like,
yeah.
dude,
And then you get Gary Oldman when he was what's that guy? Winston Churchill. He got an Oscar.
yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. So, like, dude, it's so easy to get an Oscar for, like, a biopic. Like, every major biopic in the last 20 years has won an Oscar. And the most recent of them is Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody. So it's just like, yeah. Oh, okay, well, now it's Will Smith for King Richard, right?
Yeah.
But, like, it's so lazy because, yeah, they're there. It's easy to construct a persona of a person who was alive, a person who you can study through media, as opposed to crafting a character who's wholly original, building them, and then winning an award. Like, for example, look at Denzel. Denzel spent his entire earlier career being the good guy in movies, right? He was the good guy. He was the savior. You know, he was
And then
Malcolm
one
X.
time he plays a bad guy.
He was a
Bam!
soldier in glory, right?
Shit.
And again, you have to remember at that time, he had never done a role like that before.
Yeah.
Never, ever. He was always the good guy, the savior, the protagonist, the person you root for. Now, he's a villain. He's a bad guy. He's acting in a way you've never seen him before. You know, he's not a lawyer. He's not a clergyman. He's not a civil rights activist. So now he crafts this character no one has ever saw and no one ever thought he was capable of, and he wins a fucking Oscar.
Deservedly so, mind you.
Exactly. And that's the mark of a true actor. He put himself out there by creating a character that he's never been, I guess, informed on. An original character that is so different to what he's ever done. You know, Alonzo Harris, and he wins an Oscar for it. You know? So I appreciate that much more than, for example, he played Mandela, give him an Oscar, you know?
Like, come on, dude. I mean, it's... was it... You think that should stop, like, people getting Oscars for biopics? Like, I mean, we're not saying that they don't put in the effort. They clearly do.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, dude, getting an Oscar for playing someone who did exist is a hell of a lot. No, wait, playing someone who existed, like, as you said, is way easier than playing up a character who you made up or who the writer just came up with.
An original character who you have to inform their personality. Like you as a person now, you the actor, you have to sit down and construct their personality. The script will give you the lines, but you must build the character. So yeah, dude, I don't know. For me, I just see it as like not a half-assed thing, but more of like a cheat code in a sense, you know, like a little cheat code.
Yeah.
Kinda. Yeah. But yeah, man, you give me powerful acting, like original script, beautiful, chef's kiss. I mean, like, I guess at the same time though, we have to realize that we're in a world where people can't get enough of biopics. They love them, right? Because they want to see this actor's rendition of this person who existed. You know, like the day we get, I don't know, the day we get like a true MJ, biography, that shit will be fire at the box office. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. After that Finding Neverland shit, I'm just saying.
Here's the thing. No, here's the thing, right? The most controversial people are the ones you'll want to see the most. You forget that, hey, Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady, you know? The worst of people get a biopic, and not even the worst of people, really. It's like, yes, these accusations, he's not found guilty and whatnot. You know, he's not a serial killer or whatever it happens to be. And even serial killers get biopics. People eat those up. You know, they ate up Zac Efron. You know, they ate him up as whatever this guy's
Ted
name
Bundy,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they didn't get no Oscar, man. I mean, people watch those movies, but they don't get acclaim.
It was
okay, yeah, it was a Netflix movie, but
they don't respect Netflix. One thing I've noticed. A lot of the Academy, even producers and directors, they don't respect Netflix because they just feel like it's ruining the filmmaking experience and the film going experience. It's like, shut the fuck up. It's movies. Get over yourself. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely have an animosity towards Netflix stuff. Definitely. I remember how butthurt everyone was during the Bird Box era, because Netflix was dominating, like, they were just dominating, like, Hollywood. Like, they were getting every, like, view. People were going to them for, like, the latest movie, the latest action blockbuster. Like, besides the MCU, Hollywood was dying out because of Netflix's influence. So, there was a lot of animosity towards Netflix at that point, from what I remember. It was crazy.
But just, was there a Netflix movie that you saw that you're like, "Oh, this is definitely some Oscar shit. I would definitely nominate this for an Oscar." In all honesty, was there ever a Netflix movie that should have been nominated?
I mean, easy, but I guess it's a cheat code. Obviously, De Niro, Pacino. It's kind of a cheat code because it didn't start there, but it continued there, and they wrapped up principal photography there. But yeah, I definitely think that The Irishman Oscar worthy.
Rubbery CGI and all.
I mean, leave that. Just the performance, the story, the plot. It was good stuff. I enjoyed it, even with regards to how long it was. And hey, people enjoyed it too because on Google it's 87%. On IMDb it's 7.8. On Rotten Tomatoes it's 95, and on Metacritic it's 94. So yeah, people did enjoy it. And it's a Netflix movie,
Yeah.
Netflix has a lot of fluff and just a lot of everything is so mulchy. It's a lot of schmaltz. To all the ones ever loved. Yeah, okay. That's
Okay,
nice.
that went on. There are some movies that don't need a sequel. I'm just saying, man. Some movies need to be one-offs. Some movies are just made to be a one-off, dude.
And my girl's like, you have to watch it. It's so nice. I'm like, okay, we'll get to it one day. I haven't watched it. All I know is that it's that Noah guy or that Nate guy from
Noah
Euphoria.
Centineo, yeah.
One of them, and they're playing a character, and they're like, I guess they're the romantic interest.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dude, besides, man, the sequel's titles are too fucking long, man. Why can't you just say, To All the Boys I Love 2? Why you gotta say, To All the Boys I Love, P.S. Like, fuck's sake, man. Imagine typing that into a search engine. Like, just, nah.
Exactly. I think also, wait, was Little Woman a Netflix movie?
Little Women. No,
Yeah.
I remember hearing about it. It was like in 2018 or something. It was with Emma Watson, wasn't it?
Oh, no, it's not a Netflix movie. I was just checking. Yeah. It's an actual theatrical movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some gems lurking on Netflix here and there.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
But Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead won Movie of the Year, man. Nah. It's good, but nah.
At least you can rest knowing that. That can sort of, help you sleep at night. It was more of a fan thing. Because again, this is all about votes. And if you don't vote for your movie won't win. So yeah, it obviously not an Oscar, but yeah, it did win that fan, that fan acclaim in that sense. But hey, what can we do? Because yeah, people are like, all bent out of shape about, Spider-Man didn't win. We should have voted for Spider-Man. If you wanted to win, you should have voted for it. I think obviously Zack Snyder's Justice League and all these other movies that won that fan stuff, they only won because Zack has a dedicated user base. I mean, dude, it's because of that same user base that his movie came out. It wasn't going to come out, They bullied Warner Brothers into making their movie. giving Zack $40 million and making that movie to complete it. Or was it 90? I think it was 90. But yeah, obviously the Snyder fandom is extensive and very powerful. And they voted. And that shows. Because both of his movies won those fan awards. Or rather, won that fan acclaim. They didn't win any Oscars, but yeah, they won that fan acclaim. Because Zack Snyder.
I was still... Like, if this was a newspaper, the headline would fucking read, Army of the Dead beat Spider-Man No Way Home, Matrix, fucking Endgame. Endgame?
And also, there's like another thing about it. I think us as Marvel fans, we grow excessively complacent with regards to our success. Like, yes, we watch the movies. Yes, we make these movies gross $1.8 billion, $2 billion, or whatever. But there's a sort of complacency that comes with it, where it's like, yeah, we are now the lazy king on the throne. To the point where it's like, okay, just because this movie was so hyped on Twitter and the internet, and the entire internet, actually, so to speak, we thought that we'd win these votes, but we didn't vote, and we just thought that because we were so smug in our, in all of our victories. We were so smug, Spider-Man won. Spider-Man won $1 billion, and Spider-Man. We grew so complacent that eventually we stopped trying, and it is in that made it is in that directly led to Snyder's movies getting voted for, because his fans have those fans are tenacious, dude. Yeah. They are tenacious. They don't give up. So you bet your ass they voted it every single day leading up to the award shows. And we were busy on Twitter saying, "Oh, Spider-Man's the movie of the year. Spider-Man." Yeah, we didn't vote, and it shows. It shows.
Yeah, but
the ZSJL wouldn't have won $1 billion. Would have come close in the theaters, but it wouldn't have. But us, we're only good when it comes to ticket sales. But when it comes to actually just being there and for a long haul without getting complacent and Joe Bodie, we suck at it.
Dude,
and that's why we won fan awards and whatnot.
If a director of an MCU movie came out and was like, there's a version of the movie like that's way better than the one that was in theaters, and they stole it from me, we wouldn't we'd give a shit for a while, but like we'd stop caring eventually.
We'd be like, whatever.
Yeah, because since it's MCU, the version we got would be pretty good anyway. It's like, okay.
Exactly. Like, imagine if Kevin Branagh said, "Oh, there's a better Thor out there." We'd be like, okay. Okay, that's nice.
If we didn't like the first version, we don't want to see another one. Like, just...
it would just be like, dude, like, doesn't matter. Phase 4, we don't care. Goodbye. Like, with us, most of the time, we don't dwell too much in the past. We look forward to the future. Because the future is always better, there's always things to come out and things to happen in the MCU. We don't really care about one minor blip. We don't care. No pun intended, blip. But like, we don't care. It's like, okay, this wasn't as good. Okay, cool. Move on. And like, dude, we got over Black Widow so fast. Isn't that crazy?
Dude.
It was bad.
People were clamoring for like, when's Black Widow gonna get her own solo movie? Then she got it, and it's like, meh.
Yeah, it was bad, and we didn't care. We're like, okay, we fully accepted it. We're like, okay, it was bad. Moving on, the Eternals, it was bad. Moving on, we didn't care. Spider-Man came, saved our ass, rescued us, gave us that. I guess what's the word? It gave us that respect again. It gave us that sort of that level of, oh, okay, we haven't lost our credibility just yet as a studio. We can still, pull out some bangers.
Yeah. I mean, Shang-Chi was also a banger, but it was before Black Widow, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we really began to lose our credibility at some point. But, yeah, we didn't care. We were like, okay, cool, that sucked, moving on.
Eternals, to an extent, Eternals,
dude,
to an
something
extent.
Sucked. They'll cry about it for months, for years. Oh, my God. So Suicide Squad sucked. Give us a new one. And then James comes in, gives them a new one. Yay! Oh my God, JL sucked. Give us a new one. Give us a new one. Give us a new one. They're going. Yay! They already dwell on it. We don't care. We could give 3 fucks. Honestly, MCU fans, we could give 3 fucks. Oh, the Incredible Hulk got like 56%. I think what did they get? Like 56% in Rotten Tomatoes. We don't care. Oh my God, dude. The DC fandom was so sensitive. The movie is bad. They demand a new one. The rating is bad. They call it corruption and conspiracy and all these things. You're so sensitive. It's funny.
You remember when it was back in 2016 when Ghostbusters 2016 got a higher rating than Suicide Squad, and there was this big ass petition.
Go ahead. And again, it was the whole thing of, but it's woman.
No, dude, this ain't a woman thing. That movie was just bad. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, look, in some capacity it was entertaining, but it was a bad movie. But what really got them annoyed is the fact that it's a movie that's a reboot with a woman, and it beat Suicide Squad. It beat the Snyder vision. The Ayer vision. Oh my God, they were angry. They were like, no way this movie beat this. No way. They really hated it.
No way a critic out there enjoyed this movie more than another movie? Just really, man.
Shock. But yeah, they're really sensitive. Oh my God, if the Batman flopped, they would have given up.
Ooh, they'd have been a fucking riot, man.
If the Batman was not good, oh my God, it would be hell.
If the movie released as is and it bombed, dude, or didn't make back the budget, dude.
The fans would have stormed Warner Brothers. I feel like they're so tired of Warner Brothers now. They have systematically screwed with them and their properties that they love. I mean, they hate the Flash.
It hasn't even come out yet, dude.
Because again, it's like, of course, the leaks dropped. They're gonna erase Snyder's vision. They're gonna erase the entire DCU. They're gonna have a female Batman and a female Superman. The agenda. The left. Progressive. Yeah. They hate the Flash already. It's so sad to hear. They hate the Flash. Typical Warner Brothers want to scrub away Zack Snyder's tough. They want to scrub away Snyder's hard work and dedication that he put all those years, and they treat him like shit, and this is the payback that they. Okay, yeah. I mean, I agree, right? But yeah, they're so butthurt. They're boycotting Flash before Flash came out. Before it will come out.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's
Hey,
just one big damn shame.
You hear about that Ezra Miller shit? The dude in Hawaii. You heard what happened with him? He was at a bar one night, and he attacked a woman singing karaoke, and then lunged at a guy throwing darts.
I think Ezra is mentally ill. He's actually mentally ill. He needs to be taken away for some psychiatric evaluation, and he needs to come back when he's feeling better. Because at this point, it will be a constant decline, and I'd hate to see where his career ends up, especially since he's been Warner Brothers star boy. He's been like their Spider-Man in a sense. He's Heard. That young actor everyone loves, and now look at him. He's checking women in Australia, and he's doing these things in Hawaii. Yeah, it's sad. I truly hope he gets the help he deserves, and if he's not mentally ill, then just put him in jail, because he's a nut job.
Yeah. He got bailed out, and it gets worse, dude. Not just the attacking people at the bar thing, but after he got bailed out, apparently he busted into this couple's home, and he threatened to bury the husband Like,
I remember random couple, and yeah, he needs help. He either needs help or he needs a song. Two things, or both, help or a song. And it's going to be harder, or rather, that much harder to market the Flash now, with their main star doing all of these fucked up things and just getting his name dragged through the mud in the media. With, again, rightfully so. Those are his actions. But it's unfortunate because he is ruining his own career, and he's so young. But yeah, if he continues down this path, he will never work in soapiness again. He'll become the Kevin Sorbos.
I mean, Kevin Sorbo, hey, he was Hercules, man. Now he's like doing these religious movies and just
Yeah.
What happened, man?
Politics.
This just. Hey, you remember? Speaking of politics, you remember Jim Caviezel from the guy from Passion of the Christ? Where is he?
You know what? Some people actually retire from Hollywood. I mean, I can understand that, but yeah, some people really just do retire.
Yeah.
Or they just can't find any work anymore.
Yeah, but because after a movie like that, that movie was really hard to watch.
Yeah. Hard to find work, man.
It's tough though. There was you mentioned Kayla Cuoco as Sue Storm in the Fantastic Four, and I could see it. I could see it, man. Like it could work out, man. I think he's one of the names that there was this thing I answered. They were like, "Oh, who do you think could play? Should be the next Wolverine?" Immediately, man, I was like Scott Eastwood, but there was a vocal part of the fan base that was like Zac Efron. What do you say?
You know what? You know why that's the case. I know exactly why you're saying that. So, a couple years ago, when lockdown first began, Zac Efron had this show on Netflix where he was like documenting, I guess, wildlife, and he was exploring the world, and he was like going on a journey basically. And then in the trailer, there was this scene where he was in a ship in the Caribbean. His chest was hairy, he had a full beard, he had like a very... And the entire Twitter community went crazy. There were articles written about him on BuzzFeed, on Vice, and essentially he became like the new Hollywood daddy. It didn't help that he gained some weight, so he looked like I guess they call it a bear. I guess that's like a chunky, hairy man who looks like he's cuddly and warm and affectionate. But yeah, they compared him to all of those things, and they thought that his size was very different from like his Baywatch size and whatnot, But yeah, since then, people have fan cast him as Wolverine because now he has like that surly, grizzled look. But obviously, he's shaved because he did the movie about Bundy after that documentary on Netflix. So now he looks like normal. Now he looks like normal Efron again. Now he does. But back then, he was very hairy and I think that's where most of that got started. Because at that point, he'd never been hairy nor had a full beard before.
Hey, but just imagine Zac Efron, High School Musical. Troy Bolton is Wolverine. That's what people are gonna say. It's what happened to Pattinson, man. Like, fuck that he's done awesome movies. All anyone could see when Pattinson was announced was fucking Edward Cullen is gonna be Batman. Like, just.
These are the pictures that everyone went crazy over, or other screen grabs from the trailer. This is what actually began that train. Just search that. Just looking quickly into the messages, and you'll see.
Let me check this out. Oh, damn. Damn.
Yeah.
he looks kind of like kind of big, man. Like, I mean, he ain't like you
Yeah,
said, but like, damn, dude.
yeah. So that's what began that sort of that sort of casting train, and they all saw him as this like very very possible candidate. And again, he's not even like that tall. He's like 170 something. So he's definitely in that territory where he can pass off as a slightly shorter man compared to say a 6'2" Will Smith.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman was tall too, man.
Yeah, he hasn't really grown much since his High School Musical days when he was like a teenager, young adult. So he still lies around the realm of being, I think, like 173 centimeters, 74 centimeters, not that tall. So like, yeah, he wow, I guessed it correctly. He's 173, So, for example, myself, I'm 10 centimeters taller than him because I'm 6 foot. So, yeah, he compared to like a Cyclops, compared to another actor who would be playing in the X-Men, he would be ostensibly short compared.
Yeah, he would have to be shorter than them, which is weird. Or at the very least the same height. Shorter or like a little bit the same height. Because Jackman was taller than dude in the first X-Men. And it was like weird when he steps to him. Like, yeah.
Jackman is just like Will Smith. He's 6'2". He's 189. That's a tall man. Taller than your James Marsden.
Yeah.
Obviously taller than your Stewart. It's funny though because McKellen is quite tall himself. He's actually quite tall.
But he never looked tall though. In the movies, he was always
like a man, like an old man. Like he's about he's 184. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of X-Men,
because I remember.
Yeah.
I remember that during the Lord of the Rings days, that sort of weird period between McKellen and Christopher Lee. Like, I think at one point they were like both on set. And obviously Lee is tall because Lee was like 196 centimeters, right?
Yeah.
But McKellen wasn't too far off. He wasn't too far off compared to him. So yeah, I do remember that McKellen was quite tall. But yeah, Lee was a beast. I mean, that guy was 196. Come on, dog. Come on. He should be in the NBA. Yeah, Christopher Lee was a proper monster, like in that sense. But yeah, I think everyone will fit perfectly in that MCU echelon. Yeah. He'll be slightly taller than your Mackeys and your Sebastians, because like I think all three of them, right? Stan, Mackie, and Evans. They're like around about the same height. Evans is 6 foot, but Mackie and Stan are like 5'11". So they're like, 178 sort of thing. But yeah, Evans was like 183 as well. Same as Boseman actually. Boseman, Evans, and B. Jordan are like 183. So Efron, besides Spider-Man, might end up being the shortest cast member if they do make him Wolverine, which I can definitely see, given we know what he looks like when he's hairy and he's slightly
buffed out,
bulked up. Yeah, we know what that looks like now, and I was impressed. It's not like when I saw him, I was like, okay, yeah, I can see it. I understand why he was going crazy over this guy. I can see it.
These with I remember the last time we touched on this. Like, it's gonna be weird introducing the X-Men to the MCU, because, like, especially with Magneto, because his story ties so much to the Holocaust, and that was fucking so long ago. It just
exactly. Because now, obviously, like the MCU, like it's sort of they're not that far off from us. How's it for you? Oh yeah. But like, obviously, they're like 3 years ahead from us now, right? They are 3 years ahead. So it's that in itself has made matters worse. To where now it's like it's really far off. It's not as close Because again, the Holocaust was like in the MCU, right?
Yeah.
It was like 90 plus, well, not 90 plus, but nearly 90 years ago. It's like more like 83 years ago, so to speak. But it's really close to where you can't really explain a kid who's from that era being an old man who's still, I guess, able to be physically imposing. Because again, Magneto in the comics, he's buff, you know. He's not like a wrinkly old man. He's kind of like, he's buff and whatnot. But again, I feel like it's a weird thing because that's most comic book characters. Like most of them are like buff, even though they should not be buff. Like Old Man Cap is buff. And these many various characters are also buff.
I mean, Old
And they
Man
shouldn't be
Logan
really.
was in pretty decent shape for an old guy.
Yeah.
Even in the movie.
I think that was like I feel like that was the one comic where they toned down the comicness. You know, the sort of,
Yeah.
oh yes, he's a superhero, he's larger than life.
Just got fucking
Come on.
abs everywhere. Just, nah.
Dog.
Calm down.
Old Man Cap was as big as modern day Steve Rogers, and I was like, why even do this? It was. So that's the thing now. That's the sort of. That's the only issue I feel. That they've stumbled across. So that how do you now have an actor who's this old? Of course, have him be from this era, and then with that, have him still be physically imposing. Like, just leave the age. Let's leave the age aspect, right? Let's leave the fact that he was supposed to be born in like 1912, like Steve Rogers. Yeah. Or actually, no, maybe slightly younger. Because again, Steve Rogers is the same age as Mandela. You know that? That's a weird thing to actually think of.
Mm-hmm.
Same age as Mandela, 1918. So, a person who's a kid during the Holocaust would have been born in the early 1930s, right? Early 30s. Now, what that would have to mean is that in the modern day, they're pushing 100. They're 90 something. If you want to explain away, I guess, a meta-human physicality that prevents you from aging as fast as any other people, because again, obviously Cap was a very interesting, I guess, situation, because at that point, Steve Rogers was 112 when he went back in time, biologically, not physically. Physically, he was more like 40-something, 50-something. But he then proceeded to leave that dimension and live out, no frozen ice, another 100 years as an individual, as an organic being. So his actual physical age by Endgame is like, he's more like, so that would be 100 years plus his physical age of like 42. So he was 142 when he looked like he did when he gave Sam the shield. But obviously, biologically, he's like 212 or something.
Yeah.
But physically, he was a man in his hundreds, in his mid 100s. But he still looked that good. So if a super soldier can look that good at that age, then what about a mutant? So that's still where that's kind of my thinking about that. You know, because again, just look at Isaiah Bradley. Obviously, he's played by the Manhunter's dad from Supergirl. That guy, Carl Lumbly. He was also the voice of Manhunter in the Timverse. But Carl Lumbly is like 63, 64. He's almost Samuel L. Jackson's age. Actually, Jackson's older, which is funny. But yeah, Carl Lumbly, he's pretty spry for his age, which is why he looked that big in the shirt in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right? Because he looked big for a man his age. But obviously in the show, he's playing a soldier who was experimented on during the Vietnam War, the initial one, which would have been in the 50s. So he wasn't that far removed from Steve Rogers, right? Not that far removed. They tested him, obviously they experimented on him in the 50s, in like the mid-50s, 60s, in the initial Vietnam War. And they sent him off with these other, I guess, soldiers, and they're saying, like battalion and whatnot. But if you really want to minus the ages, obviously Isaiah would have been a man in his early 20s at that time, which means he was born in the 30s. He was born in the 30s, which makes him about 90-something canonically in the MCU. And this is a man who was never frozen. He was never frozen. So he is 90-something, looking 60-something. Right? So, actually, no. Come to think of it, yeah, he could be like 15 to 20 years younger than Steve. So that could either put him as being born in the 20s. I mean, yeah, in the 20s or 30s. But basically, what I'm saying is a person who would have to be of Magneto's age, a kid during the Holocaust, a kid in 46, right? A kid in 46 and 45. He would be a person who's round about Isaiah Bradley's age. And the way Isaiah Bradley looks, not that old. Not that old. Not at all. You get what I mean? So I think that they can still get away with it if you still factor in the fact that mutants don't age as fast as humans, just like super soldiers don't age as fast as regular humans.
It could work.
See? Yeah.
So long as they don't dwell on it really fast. Just say, hey, mutants don't age that fast. Move on. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even besides that, leave the explanation. We already know that, because we have like 20 years of X-Men movies to tell us that, right? We have 20 years of X-Men movies. And even in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they didn't explain how he was so good. We knew already, because Steve was frozen, but Steve, when he came back, he would have been 200 and something, but he still looked like that, right? So we sort of had that precedent to be like, okay, no one at all, and I mean no one questioned how Isaiah looked that good at that age, because he's a super soldier. He has decelerated aging. We know that. So with the X-Men, I don't think they even have to touch upon it at all. I don't even think they need to, because we know that the X-Men are these certain individuals. We know that they age slow. I mean, Wolverine fought in the Civil War for God's sake. Like, now, that's a real strong anti-aging Geno. He was in the Civil War with Sabretooth. So yeah, obviously a person like your Xavier, they age differently. They sort of follow the same aging parameters as regular humans. Maybe not to such an extent. I mean, obviously, when you look at Stewart and McKellen, those were actors who were chosen to be in the X-Men movies when they were in their 60s, right? And I guess the only reason why they were picked for that role is because, they were these people who look comic accurate. They were also seasoned veterans. Now, with that, of course, 20 years of movie making, and then they're much older men. But obviously, with the prequels, the First Class movies.
Yeah, that's its own can of worms, man. What with Charles in the fucking 80s?
Like they tried.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I think they really did try to make it be like, okay, they're mutants, they don't age. But then with that, it sort of took us out of the immersion of it, because we're so used to seeing Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen that when you now when you have Fassbender and McAvoy not aging, we ask ourselves, wait, but then why don't they look like them?
Yes.
But then, obviously, with the movies in Fox, they were trying to go for the whole thing of mutants on age. And with that, you have them looking like they're in their 40s when they're 60-something, right? Because again, Dark Phoenix, it's 1992, and in 5 years and 6 years, are they supposed to look like McKellen? No.
A lot's gonna happen in them 6 years, man. Shit.
Exactly.
You couldn't give
And that's
dude some gray hairs or something?
Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Exactly. And see, that's the unfortunate thing about casting Patrick Stewart, because now we have to subscribe to what they look like in 99, as opposed to what the filmmakers want to convey with the fact that they're mutants so that they don't age. So, it did kind of work against them after some time, because now you expect every actor at that certain point in the time stream to eventually age into them. But we all know that mutants aren't supposed to age as fast as humans do. But it just just because obviously Patrick Stewart and them were cast, now we expect them to look like men in the 60s, right? We expect that. But in the comics, Xavier and Magneto
They look the same.
look like men in their they look like men in their mid-30s with like white hair. I mean, Magneto looks like a bodybuilder with like silver hair. So it's like, okay, yeah, sure, he's 70-something or however age he is in the comics at this point. But yeah, he's like 70-something in the comics, but he looks like a fucking bodybuilder with silver hair. So like, what is it? What's the truth? I feel like at this point, you can never cast an old actor to play these people again. Because again, now you do some more time travel shit. Now you expect those actors who play younger versions to age up into them. I just say, cast actors who are young. Call them old. Call it a day. Because that's exactly what the comics are doing, right? They're drawing these big men, these big buff men. I mean, yeah, sure, Charles isn't buff, but he doesn't look old. Yeah. He just looks like a bald man, like a bald businessman, like a man in his 40s. None of them look old in the comics.
Would you have preferred it if the, like First Class and Days of Future Past were a complete reboot of the series instead of like, oh, these are prequels?
Yeah, definitely. Because now, again, everyone kept expecting with each decade jump that they would do something to turn them into Xavier and McKellen. And that sort of ruined. I feel like once you have those expectations for a movie, it ruins the movie for you because you're so busy waiting for this and looking for this and paying attention to this, you miss out on the movie itself. Because people, as much as Apocalypse was decent, right? Leave Dark Phoenix, that was ass. But Apocalypse was okay. It was fine. But a lot of people complained about the fact that even though it's 1983, they don't look different from Days of Future Past, right? Which again, it's like, yes, but are you gonna solely latch on that as opposed to looking at the movie for its beauty and its storytelling? So now people completely ignored elements of these movies and instead focused on the fact that you're telling me in 12 years he's gonna look like that? Okay, yes, no, he won't. Obviously, shut up. So it's like, just make it a reboot, separate it, so that we don't have to constantly go back to that thing of, wait, but why isn't he this guy? Let's just stop that. The Mac movies, see, they were fun, they were nice. And I feel like you could have had Future Past to be like a multiversal crossover. Just so that you can have McAvoy and Stewart in the same film. But don't make it so that, okay, this is the 1973 version of this character in the same canon, when in 1993 he won't look like that at all. I mean, yes, the hair's gone, but he's still a smooth-faced 42-year-old man. They have done no effort in the makeup division or CGI division to make him remotely aged up to where he looks like that. And for me, it shows an element of not laziness, but more like oversight. Because again, look at the movie Ant-Man. You know the guy that Michael Douglas slams into the table?
Yeah.
He's like, mention my wife's name again. You know, that guy? The guy he slams into the table, that actor is actually much younger than what you see in that movie, in the opening scene of Ant-Man. The real actor still has brown hair, he's not that old. Less wrinkles, less brown hair. Yes, he's an adult man. He's like 40-something, 50-something. But of course, they made him 70-something in the Ant-Man movie. But he doesn't look that old. You Google him right now, he's just a regular man, like he's in like his late 40s. No much older than fucking James McAvoy himself. Because McAvoy's like 45. But that guy, that actor, he's not that old. But in Ant-Man, he looked old. He looked convincingly old because they put in the work to make him look old. Obviously, Peggy's a woman, so it's kind of harder to make a convincingly old woman. Because again, it was a bit janky in that Ant-Man scene. It was a bit better in Civil War, right? But it was a bit, holy shit, the pounds went out. Are you kidding me? But yeah, it was much more janky in Ant-Man 1 as opposed to what we saw in Civil War. And again, it comes down to a bigger budget, It comes down to a multitude of things: a bigger budget, a better makeup team, things like that. You know what I mean? But now, when you're trying to make, or when you don't decide to make an actor look old, you just come across as lazy, and you come across as not really giving that effort that you should be. You get what I mean?
I see it, man. And just like there are moments where like you can see they tried to put in the effort and it didn't quite work out. Like in Endgame with Michael Douglas in the 70s, they tried to make him
that
look
was a
young.
pretty good one, though.
And yeah, he looked pretty good, but he didn't look as good as he did in Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I love that thing now. That's it. Thank you.
Whatever.
Yeah, you were saying?
Yeah, it definitely works, man. Like when you put in the effort, the actor comes out looking good. If you don't, if you just give us the actor and say he's aged 10 years, but like you don't change anything.
He looked actually like Michael Douglas circa 1969.
Yeah.
There was this video that I watched about him as like a young man. I think he was still in college, and he was talking about doing his first movie with his dad, Kirk, and how excited he was. He looked exactly like that file video. I was so impressed. And you know what? You know what else they did? They used AI to sort of, I guess, de-age his voice as well. Like it wasn't as gravelly.
Because he didn't have the throat thing yet. Yeah.
Yeah, he had that throat cancer that he got from giving his wife, Catherine Zeta Kanagalas. That's unfortunate, though.
Bad.
Yeah. But yeah, dog, like, and that is the Russo brothers and everyone else involved in, the actual making of the movie trying. And then you have Fox, and, you still have Magneto looking like Fassbender did in the other movies. Like, he hasn't changed. And again, it's the fact that in First Class, Eric and Charles are supposed to be like 20, like our age, right? Our age. They're supposed to be like 23 years old, right? 22, 23. Because, obviously Charles is still in college. Eric didn't go to college. He's a hardened man from his time in Auschwitz. But they're supposed to be young men, and they very much look 35. So it didn't help. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really didn't.
Yeah, it didn't help that. Yes, they were old men, but they didn't get any older.
Yeah. In the interest of livening up conversation a bit, have you seen the trailer for Thor 4? The teaser trailer?
Yeah, it's beautiful. We saw it we put it on the TV when I first saw it. Because I discovered it 2 hours after it dropped. I was like, oh shit, guys, Thor trailer, Because again, we all bought tickets like at the same time. So like I pay, and then they give you the money later. So I think I paid like $700, $750 for like the tickets, and like they all gave me back, the money in cash. So tomorrow I have to go to the bank and deposit it. But yeah, like we already got but then that's for Doctor Strange, not Thor.
Yeah.
But when we are watching that, because we always pay attention to these movies, like we always like watch them, like and like pay attention. When we watch, I was like, dude, play it. Go to YouTube right now and play it. And it was pretty nice. I mean, I guess it was our expectations were subverted, right?
Yeah.
Because again, it's a trailer, and you expect it to be some trailer, madness, some
But
action,
it was weirdly quiet though. It was like Thor was going into some introspective shit. Like,
Yeah.
I've been fighting for all this time. Who am I when I'm not fighting? Just
exactly.
Damn.
Like, I thought we'd see, just a little glimpse of Bale, Gore.
Yeah.
Maybe like one of maybe we'd see Gore's ankles as the camera pans up and
at all.
And like knowing Marvel, like you would think it would be like that, like the camera would pan out from his ankles.
Like in Multiverse of Madness, you remember where like Strange comes up the stairs and you hear, perhaps we should tell him the truth. I thought we were gonna get something like that,
Exactly, just a little pan, and then just before you see his face, cut to black. But no Gore, no No violence, no threats.
Yeah.
The only hint of violence we get is Jane Foster wielding Mjolnir defensively. That's the only bit of violence we get. Other than that,
And
it's
that's at the
Thor
end.
going
That's
on
at the end. We see Jane at the end. Dude. I love how buff she is now, man. Like, damn.
Oh yeah, man, Natalie putting that work. Remember when I seen in those
That behind the scenes picture, yeah.
Yeah,
And
man,
I said
actually
she
went
looked
to
like Abby from The Last of Us too.
Dude, kudos to her.
Yeah,
Kudos
she
to
put
her.
in work.
But yeah, man. You see, the thing is, man, I'm not worried about whether or not it will be too jokey. Because you can't really be jokey with a character like Gore, especially knowing that he's killing gods. I trust Taika's directorship to where he can strike that perfect balance. That maybe, I guess, scenes with the Guardians are very comedic to a certain extent, but then immediately when we're with Gore and we're with the gods and everything that he's doing, especially with the possibility of them following the whole Jane cancer storyline. If they do, I hope they do, because again, like, how can you explain a lot of this, But yeah, I fully expect those scenes to definitely be serious. I fully expect them to be serious. I don't expect them to gloss over it with the Taika comedy, that we've come to know of him. So, my hope is, or rather, I have confidence in Taika. Yes, I have confidence in him.
Same, dude. It's like in Endgame or Infinity War, when the Black Order was here, Stark was cracking wise, but when Thanos showed up, everybody was serious. There's even
Exactly.
in Thor did crack jokes every now and then, but it was like in the more quiet moments, like between Rocket and the Guardians and them.
Yeah,
He cracked jokes,
scene.
but when Thanos,
More
when he was
like
scoring up at Thanos, he was like, "Bring me Thanos!" It's like, yeah.
That scene, what more do I have to lose? A little tear down his face. That was beautiful.
That moment right there was so fucking sad. He was like, like he's like, yo, if I fail, then what more do I have to lose? It's like, damn, dude, like, up to that point, I had never actually thought of it like that. Like, holy fuck, dude's whole family is gone. He's got nothing left.
Yeah. And to him, death does not matter. Like, he can die making Stormbreaker, but at least he tried. Because again, what more can he lose but his life? There's nothing else he can lose. So yeah, it's crazy. It's brutal, man. It's justified.
Yeah, I kind of liked. I mean, I thought Fat Thor was funny for a bit, but I'm glad dude got not just back in shape, but in bigger shape.
Bigger than.
Yeah.
Yep. That was pretty dope.
But hey, I don't think I could take this movie seriously with Thor running around with his big old gut and sweat pants. Like,
yeah.
Dude.
Crazy. That's just like, okay, no. You gotta tone this down, please.
Yeah.
Give this to us. Just tone it down. Yeah. But yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I know, he's a behemoth. A bigger behemoth.
Thing is, though, shit, this movie, even though this trailer gave, like, hints that Thor was going through some introspective shit, like, you're right. I wasn't expecting that at all. It's like, that leaves questions like, what is this movie gonna be? Because this movie has Gore the God Butcher in it, and yet at the same time we have Thor questioning who he is outside of battle, and then we also have the Guardians there, so...
Exactly. And now it's also just a thing of, okay, but now it's more about what's the tone of this movie. Because yes, it's not like it's all over the place, but for now it's so subdued. It feels like a slice of life anthology. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but yes, we saw small hints with Jane and the fact that there's that god that was killed by Gore, and that in itself was ripped from the comics. I remember I saw that panel from Thor God of Thunder, 2016. It's beautifully ripped because again, it's like a digital 1:1 rendering from the panel. But that's like the smaller instances of like where we see the real, just the existential dread in Thor's face when he realizes something is happening. Like something bigger than me is happening here, and it's time for me to once again step up. Because again, I don't think Thor expects Spider-Man or Captain America or them to deal with this. I mean, maybe Strange, because again, Strange's power level, you can probably try. He would fare quite well. I won't lie. I think of all the Avengers, besides Hulk, I think Thor greatly respects Doctor Strange's power level, and he saw that firsthand in his movie Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I think he really got a sense of, okay, this is not just a little lowly magician. This guy's legit. This guy is
Like,
doing shit.
yeah, like he caught us and he trapped Loki. Like he trapped him like that. I mean,
Yeah, in a perpetual, never-ending falling sequence. So yeah, I definitely see Doctor Strange as one of the people Thor could have called for backup.
Yeah.
But at the same time, see, I don't know where Hulk stands now. Because yes, we will have that Hulk branch off at the end of the She-Hulk when World Brigade set up. But at this point, I think Thor sees Hulk, or rather Smart Hulk now, as an inferior. I definitely think so.
yeah. They didn't really
As
talk
a
in
Ragnarok.
Endgame, dude. Like it's just Thor was more buddy with regular Hulk than Smart Hulk when you think about it.
Yeah, because I mean, look, Ruffalo, Banner, and Thor did bond in, they did bond in Ragnarok, right? They did, and obviously part of that is now. Well, that was like over 5 years ago. That was 5 years ago. In fact, more like 6 now, because Spider-Man, several months have passed, so it's been a long time. So 6 years have passed since we really did chill. Because again, they didn't see each other after Thor cut off Thanos' head in 2018, 2 weeks after the fact. And he's been on New Asgard, drinking, getting fat. And it just seems like they've really grown apart in terms of their friendship. Yes, he didn't get him to come back on the ship, Smart Hulk, because again, Smart Hulk is just it's basically just Bruce Banner's brain, right? Yeah. So yeah, he did get him to come back on the ship. And when you think about their plan, Steve Rogers did know that only Bruce Banner can bring Thor. Only he can recruit him. Because Cap could have gone himself, but Cap and Thor aren't that close. They're colleagues. They're not that close. But at least you two were in space together. You battled your bloodthirsty sister together. So yes, they do have that close relationship, or rather had. So my thing is just are they even still that close anymore? Because yes, Endgame happened and whatnot, and he did look visibly worried for him when he had the gauntlet, and he was like, take it off. Yeah. But I don't think he can see him as a person who you can wage in war with anymore.
Yeah. People change, man. Like it's just their relationship has definitely changed because in those 4 years, and you remember in Endgame, Smart Hulk was surprised to see Thor this fat. So it's clear that they didn't keep in touch in that 4 years. It was like, man.
I genuinely think he hasn't seen him since they cut off Thanos' head on that farm planet.
Yeah. But with the MCU as it is in Phase 4, would you say? I remember I asked you this back then. Now that we've seen the trailers for Multiverse of Madness and we've got No Way Home and whatnot, and with all